I did get into the massage loop. I remember when I was a fresh sannyasi in 1972, and it was the time of Janmashtami and Srila Prabhupada's appearance day in New Vrindavan in 1972. It was, I believe, August. And I think his personal servant was unable to massage him that day. So he said, Pushpa Krishna, you can give him a massage. I had never massaged anybody. I said, so how do you do it? He said, well, you start on the head with sandalwood oil, and then you do the body with, from head down, with mustard oil. So we sat outside where Srila Prabhupada was staying in New Vrindavan, and I went behind Srila Prabhupada, offered my obeisances, and took some sandalwood oil in my hand, and started to very gently massage his head. I didn't know what I was doing. And Srila Prabhupada said, what is this? I said, well, Srila Prabhupada, I'm trying to give you a massage. He said, massage means hard, like that. So I figured it out that, you know, you're supposed to massage hard, so I started rubbing his head real hard. And he was very pleased. And so I was rubbing the head with sandalwood oil, and it's hard to imagine massaging Srila Prabhupada for the first time without knowing what you're doing. And then worked on his back with the mustard seed oil and whatnot. And actually it was a very sweet experience to be able to massage Srila Prabhupada, because apart from rendering the personal service, Srila Prabhupada would sometimes talk about Krishna conscious things or business related to Krishna consciousness. And he would sometimes be amused by the way that we would massage. You would continue massaging until he said, go to the next part. We would massage his back and his arms. And I remember someone had told me that Srila Prabhupada liked his toes cracked. So I used to massage Srila Prabhupada's toes very hard, trying to crack his toes. Prabhupada sometimes he used to laugh. He said, oh, that's enough, like that. It was really kind of humorous. He was really a very kind-hearted person, and those times are very sweet.
I never ceased to be amazed at how every single time Prabhupada would tune right in and come up and relate to you and whoever was with you. One thing I never quite understood is I was a brahmachari for so many years, but my real propensity obviously wasn't to be a brahmachari, and it was a little wishful thinking on my part to think I was kind of like that, advanced and detached. But in those days, if you expressed the idea that maybe you thought you should be married, then you had someone talking you out of it, and your service was going to go to hell, and So we had a hard life trying to figure out what decisions we were supposed to take. And I would go up to see Prabhupada, and on more than one occasion he would say, Keshavaji. He said, where is your wife? And I said, Prabhupada, I don't have a wife, and he would do that. It's like, even he could see I wasn't really a Pukka brahmachari, and he would say that. And I knew what he was saying. He was like showing me that you better think about things a little bit,
Generally, Prabhupada would reveal what he thought we needed to know. Some people, their nature is to ask endless questions. But I always felt like a fool asking more than what Srila Prabhupada revealed. Now, if we didn't hear properly, then Srila Prabhupada would have to ask questions, and he would have to repeat. But I found very often the same things that he taught in 1967, say even in regards to cooking, he was revealing that same subject matter in 1976, so many years later. Prabhupada kept Krishna consciousness very simple, and for those of us who engaged in his service, at least my relationship was simply to hear and to follow those instructions personally.
So all these devotees would be coming, and Srup Damodar Maharaj came, and he was a little distant this was in the morning in the garden, and there was only a couple people there, devotees. And Prabhupada asked who that was, because he was like a distance away, and I said, that's Srila Damodar Maharaj, and he said, call him over here. So he sat right by Prabhupada, and he began telling Prabhupada about his Bombay scientist preaching program they just did before he got there. And Prabhupada, before he got there, he looked a little morose to me by my material vision. But when he started talking about that scientific preaching, he just sat up like a light bulb. He was beaming, and he was pointing with his finger, and the skin was shaking off his bone. There was just a bone here, and the skin was hanging off it, and the skin was flapping. And he said, actually, I appeared in this world for two reasons: to establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to defeat these rascal scientists. And you are doing this. I'm very pleased. And he just went on for a couple hours talking about this, and he wanted this very much.
There was one time we were driving from Durban to Pietermaritzburg in South Africa, and we're out in the country, and there were some big, long, white buildings some distance from the highway. And Srila Prabhupada asked, what are those buildings? And I responded that they're a chicken coop that belongs to a large chicken farm that they use as a slaughterhouse. And Srila Prabhupada said, why do they bother? Let them make a chicken. You take some egg, you put some liquid in it, you incubate it, and let them make a chicken. But they can't, those rascals, because they don't understand that the life is not in the egg, but it's the spirit soul. And he carried on for some time talking about that. It was a really very animated time.
Prabhupada had a flight to catch, and the devotees figured out, considering bad traffic and everything, that they could leave within a certain amount of time and get Prabhupada there properly. But Prabhupada insisted that they had to leave very early that day. Well, people were wondering if that is something wrong with Prabhupada, because it's only 20 minutes to the airport and the flight, and Prabhupada was literally pushing Brahmananda out the door like 2 hours before they even needed to be to the airport, and they were only 20 minutes away. And they said, okay, you're Prabhupada, you're the spiritual master. And sure enough, on the road, there had been some bad accident and some big traffic problem, and everyone on the highway was really stuck. And he only got to the flight in the nick of time, and if they had left even a few minutes after, when Prabhupada was pushing them out early, they would have missed the flight. What to speak of leaving at the normal time? That would have been it. And devotees realized at that time Prabhupada knew that they had to go early. Now, how did he know? So,
of course, Vishnujan Maharaj was a very dear devotee. He was a great friend to many of those who were introduced to Krishna consciousness by his beautiful kirtans and the traveling Sankirtan parties that they had had. And his kirtans were angelic. They were heart-piercing. They were beautiful. And it was a morning walk in Mayapur when I remember as we were completing the walk, and we were perhaps a quarter of a mile away from the main temple building, headed back. Vishnujan Maharaj approached Srila Prabhupada, and he said, if someone falls down from the sannyas position, do they have to do what Chota Haridas did in order to keep Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy? And Prabhupada said yes. And there was some concern that no one could really commit suicide over such an issue. And Vishnu Janam Maharaj, following that meeting, he disappeared shortly after taking bath in the Ganges that day, and was never seen again.